Hello, in this video we're going to discuss the fall of Rome because there's a lot of things people don't know about. So firstly, where Rome and Roman, the words come from. So the person who led the Roman people to Rome was Roman. And where the name comes from, everyone spoke English back then. Rome as in R-O-A-M, and man, so a man who roams everywhere. So Roman led the Roman people from Bangladesh by ship all the way to Rome, and it was a sail ship. So the people arrived from heaven into Baghdad by a spaceship, then flew by aerospacecraft to Bangladesh, and from there went in a ship all the way to Rome. And Roman was the guy who led them. So as a nickname, they called him Roman. So that's where the word Roman comes from. Roman invented the Roman sandals, which is made out of leather hide, and was later murdered by a man called Caesar. So Caesar, when he was born, his first words were Caesar, and so that's where the word comes from. When they first arrived at Rome and they got off and they sighted land, someone pointed to it, a young boy, and said Rome. And so that's what they named it after that, as in he meant to roam over there. Caesar misled the Roman people into a high-tech barbaric society. So they had technology. The buildings had all been constructed by heaven. They left some half constructed so that humankind could learn from the technology and make more. That includes the sewage system, which is still going to this day. So Caesar misled them, and they become a barbaric society that sacrificed people and murdered them horrifically, particularly at the circus, which is the Colosseum. The Roman people had a lottery, and the army had a lottery, and people used to wind up with the gladiators or getting fed to lions. So it wasn't just Christian people killed there, it was also the Roman citizens. 5 generations later, heaven sent Spartacus to overthrow the regime. So Spartacus is an archangel from heaven. Spartacus's wife is an archangel who was a martyr. She was gang raped to death at the Colosseum in front of Spartacus. Spartacus and the slaves all got raped often and gang raped. Where Spartacus got his name was when he was born in Corsica. His first words were Spartacus. The word Spartan is the first words of a man who was born in Sparta. So we don't confuse the two. So Spartan's first words were Spartan. That's where Spartan comes from. Spartacus, while a slave, was extremely good as a gladiator. He had many fights and many victories. He won every fight. They weren't put in the same situation that people believe. They suffered dysentery often. They were skinny. They weren't trained to fight. They were just put out there and had to fight for themselves. They were not given weapons. That's the other thing about the gladiators. They had to kill people in order to acquire weapons. So Spartacus tricked a Roman general into setting him free. Once free, he freed all the slaves, which was 2/3 of the population of Rome. Atticus, who was also a slave and a gladiator, later met Corsicans who were searching for Spartacus and who were his family. And they were searching for him and wanted him to return to Corsica. Atticus took over Rome, and they found the first winemaker, whose name is Vino. Vino was the Roman soldier who crucified Jesus. And what Vino actually means is to be covered in blood. So Vino's specialty was he's extremely good at fighting. He's an archangel from heaven who delivered to the Tectri wine, in particular red wine, and everyone spoke English. Their nickname for that Roman soldier was Vino, because whenever they were fighting, he often got covered in blood. So Vino crucified Jesus, and he also killed Paul and Peter the apostles, because both men went off the rails as apostles and were later turned up in Rome, and the control room in heaven requested that both men get killed because they'd gone way off being apostles and had started doing bad things. So Atticus, using coercion, forced Vino to crucify the entire population of Rome. Alright, so it wasn't Spartacus and his people crucified, it was the entire population of Rome got crucified. Men, women and children, from one end of a road to the other that runs to the sea. The Romans across Europe, North Africa and the UK did not know, they did not have a mailing system that would deliver the messages of what happened. It happened suddenly, overnight, the next day, suddenly Atticus is running the show. So the Roman soldiers at those locations stayed there. The Romans in Wales settled in Bath, which is similar houses that had already been constructed by heaven at that location, and has the same sewage system. It was the intent for that technology to be later used in Kent and in London and in the UK and in the Commonwealth. So we're talking the sewage system and house construction. So Bath later became part of Wales under Bastard's leadership. The Romans hate the Tudors, so the Tudors from Wales, who caused trouble, they'd always get killed in Bath if they went there. Spartacus survived and ran back to Corsica to find his family had gone to Rome to find him. All of them died being crucified because of Atticus, who crucified everyone who was not a slave. So this sort of thing could happen in New Zealand. That's the point. Angela and Spartacus's family are archangels from heaven, and with many others returned to earth from heaven to Corsica for Spartacus. And so that's what actually happened there, and where some people got their names. We know vino today is a word that's used to describe wine, and so the first winemaker was Vino. And also to point out, regarding the crucifixion of Jesus, had to be done that way it was planned in heaven. And as we know, Jesus was swapped for a mere chassis, so he did not experience any of the horrible things that happened there. I'm the Archangel Daniel, and I'm from heaven.